NBC News confirming the Manhattan District Attorney now is in possession of former President Donald Trump's tax returns and some other financial documents as well. Let me bring in NBC's Tom Winter, who is joining us now on the phone. Tom, not a total shock, because we knew after the breaking news on this show Monday with that Supreme Court decision that this was now a question of when, not if. So what more are you learning?
Well, that's perfectly put, Hallie, and it was a question of when and not if, and the when was pretty quick in this case. So basically, shortly after the Supreme Court's decision or lack of decision, and that they were not going to stop the grand jury here in New York City from getting these tax returns, but perhaps much more importantly, the underlying tax documents, the subpoena was able to be enforced, and so those records are now in the hands of Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance. I think going forward here, what's important for people to know is that while Vance's office, and they've done a lot of staffing up, hiring former federal prosecutors that are very familiar with these types of cases, hiring a forensic accounting firm, while they will move quickly, these are very complex cases. They're very difficult to organize. They're very difficult to construct. And then you've got to find out what, if anything, is illegal, and then figure out how you might want to prosecute that. They are not simple one-off cases, and we're talking about the volume of records that exist in this case when we're talking about the length of time, almost 10 years that are being examined, but perhaps further back. When we look at all those things, it's a difficult case to try to arrange and organize. So in speaking with former prosecutors, they're going to have to establish a timeline. What did the president and the Trump organization and those working for him present to banks at the same time that they were presenting information to tax authorities like the state of New York? Was there a discrepancy between those two? If so, is something provably false? Is our own colleague and analyst and former U.S. Attorney Chuck Rosenberg says, you can't just hold up these tax documents and say, okay, they presented this one thing to a bank and they presented this thing in the tax returns. There are two different numbers here, and so one of them must be false. You can convict whoever they happen to charge. That's not how this works. So they really need to delve into the numbers, understand it, and I think it's going to be some time here, Hallie, before we hear if there are any charging decisions. And then, of course, we won't even get to see any of these documents until this case goes to trial, if it ever does.
Real quick timeline question. Is Cy Vance up against a clock here or anything?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I think over the next couple of days and weeks, or perhaps even longer than that, we'll hear how they are able to deal with the statute of limitations concerns. I think they have some thoughts on that. I'll leave it there for now, but I think that there are there'll be some interesting developments in due time.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.